Vasishta continued, O Ram, the cycle of birth and death is an interminable one. This Maya ceases only by the mastery of one's own heart, mind, not otherwise. To illustrate this, there is a legend which I shall presently narrate to you. We're caught up in this process, this cognitive process, this process whereby we think we understand things by identifying things, by entering into a relationship with things. It's ongoing. It never seems to stop. Here it's described as the cycle of birth and death, and Maya is this cognitive process. It's a process whereby we confuse our ideas and notions about things with what's actually going on. And what's actually going on is just simply the fundamental experiencing. We can get in touch with that fundamental experiencing very simply. But in the long term it involves mastery of one's own heart, and in parentheses the translators put mind. If we say just mind, then that's just about ideas, but heart shows the feelings which we put behind these ideas, the conviction, if you like. We have this conviction in the truth of our own notions. You might think you're open-minded and that you're not enslaved by notions, but the very idea that you've got a body and that there's an external world out there, these are some of the notions that I'm referring to here. And we feel in our heart, in our being, that these notions are intrinsically true. It's not just an idea which can be explained away. We feel the conviction, we feel passionate about these beliefs. We're passionate about the stories that we believe in. In this world there is a region known as Kosala. In it there was a Brahmana known as Gadhi. He was very learned and the very embodiment of Dharma. In other words, he performed all his duties and social expectations. Right from his very childhood he was filled with the spirit of renunciation and dispassion. Once this Brahmana went away to the forest in order to practice austerity. Desiring to behold Vishnu, he entered the water of a river and there began to recite various mantras, which soon completely purified his being. After a period of 8 months, Lord Vishnu appeared there and said to him, "Ask of me the boon of your choice." The Brahmana said, "Lord, I wish to behold your own illusory power, Maya, which deludes all beings and keeps them in ignorance." This might seem like a peculiar boon to ask. Here you've got the supreme deity offering you a boon, and Gadhi, the priest, says he wants to behold the power of illusion. And this is, I suppose, because he knows of these things intellectually. He will know the teaching that everything's basically illusory. And now he's wanting to appreciate this for himself, to understand this directly. Lord Vishnu said, "You will behold my Maya, and then you will at once abandon the illusory perception of objects." So there you go, once you see that it's an illusion, you'll no longer get caught up in it. After Lord Vishnu disappeared, Gadhi rose from the water. He was highly pleased. For several days thereafter, Gadhi engaged himself in various holy activities, constantly immersed in the bliss. After Lord Vishnu disappeared, Gadhi arose from the water. He was highly pleased. For several days thereafter, Gadhi engaged himself in various holy activities, constantly immersed in the bliss which had resulted from his vision of Lord Vishnu. One day he went to the river for his bath, still meditating upon the words of Lord Vishnu. While he immersed himself in the water, he beheld himself dead and mourned by all. His body had fallen, and his face had become pale and lifeless. He saw himself surrounded by very many relatives, who were all weeping and wailing aloud. They were inconsolably grief-stricken. His wife was shedding tears as if a dam had been breached, and she had caught hold of his feet. His mother, beside herself with grief, had caught hold of his face, and was weeping bitter tears and crying aloud. He was surrounded by a number of grief-stricken relatives. He saw himself lying silent, as if asleep or in deep meditation. He was taking a long rest, as it were. He listened to all the weeping and wailing of the relatives and wondered, what does all this mean? He was curious about the nature of friendship and relationship. Soon the relatives carried his body away to the crematorium. After the performance of the funeral rites, they placed the body on the funeral pyre. They set the pyre alight, and soon the body of Gadhi was consumed by the fire. So it sounds like he's had some kind of out-of-body experience, and he's been taken for dead, which is an occupational hazard of out-of-body travelling.